Because the game of the bankers is to invest penny for the dollar. So what they're going to do, they're going to demonstrate that you are an idiot. And then they're going to throw a few coins your way to say, oh, come with us. And we will invest not because we believe that you're competent, but we are going to invest so that we can put our expertise and our network inside your company, and we're going to take you over.
You've tuned in to Tech Society, Perth's foremost podcast on tech and business, hosted by technical founders of Ninja Software and whiskey enthusiasts Alex Dunmo and John Nguyen.
Welcome back to part 2 of our fascinating interview with Ernesto Sirolli, founder of the Sirolli Institute. You are listening to Tech Society. In part 1 of this interview, Ernesto wowed us with his institute's work with impoverished and neglected communities and taught us the importance of the trinity of management in business and entrepreneurship.
In part 2, we explore the world that millennials and younger generations are inheriting. Bad leadership is a huge threat to the well-being and survival of humanity. So how can enterprising young minds create strong leadership and help make the world a better place? Can honest communication and strong collaboration lead us from destruction?
This is the thought that is still, that right now all the millennials are pushing back against, is unbridled capitalism, is the thing that, and is Milton Friedman, aim of the corporations is to maximize profit. And it's absolutely wrong. It's not true that greed is good. Greed destroys the market because monopolistic activities destroy. The monopolistic activities, which are the creation of unbridled capitalism, have the net effect of destroying the market, because all the prices will be fake. So for whoever study economics, they know that. So we can talk about this kind of thing, but right now, fun and games, for the first time ever, we have seen millennials becoming socially active. Millennials for years and years and years, all of you guys have absolutely never got involved in politics because you thought that the economy will lift every single boat, and the only thing you had to do was to create fantastic companies that were ethical companies so that you could then share the dividends. And then this book came out, and now you start to realize that actually the people who have created the problem cannot solve it. And so if you have an economy that is a false economy, it will be very, very difficult to use then philanthropy to assuage the anger of people who really have had no increase in they see no possibility of escaping a social class, for instance, because there is no way ever they will be able to do that in this kind of climate.
It's interesting you reference Winners Take All. I really struggled reading that because it just filled me with hate. It wasn't a pleasant read.
It was a terrible read because it's so close to my skin and your skin. Imagine how much I believed, like you guys, in entrepreneurship saving everything. And now what I have to tell you that I have initiated a number of conversations. I've been invited actually to facilitate a number of conversations around the world. And we have conversations in 5 different countries, 12 different groups. And there are conversations where we offer a shoulder to cry, and we offer entrepreneurs the ability to share their ideas. And so then we facilitate whatever comes out of these strange conversations. And we started with entrepreneurs who were desperate. Then we discovered that entrepreneurs, as soon as you listen to them and you allow them to tell you and they start to trust you, they tell you what they want to do. As soon as they tell you what they want to do in a group of 40 entrepreneurs, there are people say, oh, I can help you with that. And the other person say, oh, my brother-in-law. So all of a sudden we have now startups coming. We call them the Corona startups because we have all these startups all over the world. But what has happened is that all the people, we were all like you and me, we all really gang-ho about entrepreneurship. And we discovered that in a month, the economy is on its knees.
Mm. Yeah.
The richest countries in the world, people have no savings.
No.
We all broke in a month.
Mm.
And we say, if these are the richest countries in the world, we are all on our knees. Where is this savior economy? Where is this wealth? We are all broke. And if you have 1/5 of the population in America with nothing to eat, it's the most dangerous situation for people with some money, because what do? You barricade yourself in the houses with guns? Do you realize what happened when you have 1/5 of the population with nothing to eat? So we all passionate entrepreneurs wanted to change the world through entrepreneurship. We have realized that, my God, if you have the wrong leaders, you die.
Yeah.
And politics is important, but we never knew anything about it. We don't want to have anything to do with this horrible politics. What is this rubbish? This is for all people. And now I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs to say, my God, we have to become citizens. We have to take control. We have to start to manage the res publica. The republic is from 2 Latin words, the res publica, which is the public good. So we have to, my God, we have to do that, because we cannot, if we have a leader who is crazy, I don't know whether you have seen them, but if you have a leader who is crazy, you die. And this is not even a serious crisis, this pandemic, this is not serious.
It shouldn't have been.
Serious is when children die. Serious is when children die. Serious is a nuclear war. So tell me, what kind of leader do you want to have during a serious crisis? A super volcano exploding? What kind of leader you want to have when a meteorite strikes the earth? So my point is that this is nothing. This is nothing. This is just a little taste of the importance of good leadership.
Yes.
Give me Jacinta now, please. In emergencies. Don't give me what I have right now in America.
Donald Trump. Okay. People have been saying for so long, ever since I was a kid, you always hear it. They're all the same. Politicians, they're all the same. I think it's patently obvious they're not.
Not only, but we have the politicians that we deserve.
Yeah, sadly.
So there are no excuses. There are no excuses. And I remember that the first place in the world where I saw a group of students coming up with an app for direct democracy was New Zealand. Was Dunedin, and they had at the university, they come with an app on your phone which allows a company to decide by unanimous vote whether a decision should be taken or not. And you take the vote and it will show you a pie with, you see, 85% green, look, they want it, and 5% they, 15% don't want it. So then you have in the app, you have a chat room where you argue and debate until you get 90% or whatever number you want to have before you say, okay, now we stop the canteen or we go vegan in the canteen. So I believe that there is a possibility of actually going that direction, direct democracy, using technology. People say, oh, it's too dangerous because it can be hacked. We are going to solve the problem of hacking. We are going to solve it because it's such a new technology. It's only a few decades. I mean, we are going to solve that problem by having multiple level of security. And when we have the problem solved, then people will be able to vote directly from the phone. Are we going to war? Yes and no. And we will become citizens like the Athenians, because the moment you vote for war, your kids die, and there are no excuses.
Now you've proposed this concept of direct democracy with everyone, including the people that are imbeciles. So now what happens when you're outnumbered and your vote is equal to theirs?
You are outnumbered, and you leave the country, like I've done, and you leave Italy, and you say, you have made a decision. I don't want to share the decision. I go and use my brain somewhere else. And then they invite you back a few years later to say, but why did you leave? Well, I left because Italy had one political party for 50 years that was supported by the CIA, and this party was the Christian Democrats. It was the most corrupt political party. After 50 years, everything will be absolutely putrid. And when a professor tried to make an alliance and an historical compromise with the left for the first time ever, to allow the left to be voted, because they had the majority, which was squashed every single time with money from the United States, he was kidnapped and assassinated. There was Aldo Moro. He was kidnapped and killed by without the government doing anything to try to rescue him, because he was Aldo Moro was persona non grata. And I left Italy when they were shooting, when because of political upheaval, they were shooting in the streets. There were police and police in was the army in with like now in America, shooting in the streets. So yeah, it's not easy. I'm not saying that the democracy the definition is the best worst political system is the best of the worst. Because you tell me, if you don't want to have direct democracy, you tell me what the hell you're gonna have. Controlled by the few, controlled by the rich, controlled by the aristocracy, controlled by whom? And then who controls the controllers? So there is no going back. The only way is to increase the capacity of citizens to learn how to be citizens. And so it's all about education. It's all about responsibility.
Agency.
Otherwise, what you say. Otherwise, what I heard in South Africa when I was there during apartheid, the white South Africans said, you cannot give democracy to the blacks because they don't know how to use it. The answer is they will never learn how to use it until you give it to them.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Because until they're not citizens, of course they never voted. They don't know what it is. They don't show up. They make the wrong decisions. But you give them democracy and they start to employ people, elect people who become corrupt and unruly. And then all of a sudden the people said, hey, instead of helping us, we were voting representatives who become corrupt, and we have to be very careful who we elect next time. It's not an easy process, but it's the only process possible. But I believe in direct democracy, because then whatever if you're not convincing the people around you, if you're not imagine redoing Brexit now. The people who joked about voting leave Europe. There are people who said, oh my God, I did not even realize what I was doing. So I think politics is very serious, and this pandemic has given us a little taste of the importance of being citizens.
Before we continue this podcast, here's a message from our sponsor.
We believe that you can create art and beauty with technology. We think big. We move quietly. We are Ninja Software.
It really ties in with your messaging for entrepreneurs and creating entrepreneurs as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems you're stressing, collaboration and honest communication.
Yeah, and by the way, it's very interesting to notice that the product person, the marketing person, and the finance person, they decide to work together because they respect each other, but they don't agree on anything.
Of course not.
And in fact, product marketing finance, they have to disagree, because if one of them carries the day, that person will use the money. The product person use the money to do more research and development on the product, or come up with a new product. The marketing guy will get, the marketing girl will want all the money for marketing and research, but marketing to increase the sales. And the finance guy will cut all the costs, fire everybody because they're, and reduce the company to an empty shell. So what happened is that the three of them are in a dialectical argument. These three beautiful people see the world differently, and the role of the CEO is to be the witness to the debate. And the CEO doesn't need to say anything. Listen, and then says, okay, guys, you want to go that way, you want to go that way, you want to go that way. I am making all the three of you unhappy because we are going to go this middle path that doesn't please anybody. But please trust me, let's try this for 6 months. Then we are going to revisit the results. And we are going then to correct according to what the market is telling us. So the three personalities are personalities that at their best is like an absolutely fully developed, fantastic woman with an absolutely fully developed, fantastic man who will never understand each other, but decide to be together. And when they are together, they create new life. Unless you have these absolutely different DNAs merging, no new life can come to be. So you have an impossibility that is then out of love, out of something that is beyond their essence. They decide to be together. When they merge, new life is born. Management is an art. Every month there are 100 management books being published. So you never stop learning about management.
Very true.
But what I teach is that if you don't even know that business is a team sport, you are not allowed to enter the stadium. You are not allowed to enter in the game park, because you cannot arrive to say, I want to play footy against you, because they will say, but you are alone. I say, I am the best, but you are alone. We're going to kick your ass. There is no way. And so Michael Jordan says, no, I am the best basketball player in the league. I want to play and I want to keep the ball. Well, he never won a championship until he had a coach that said, Michael, pass the ball. And Michael said, but I'm the best. Michael, pass the ball. It's 5 against you. Pass the ball, for God's sake. Otherwise, we will never win a championship. The moment that Michael Jordan learned to pass the ball, decided to win championships. So no matter how good you are, you cannot do it by yourself. So what I'm teaching people is form the team, and then start the journey of learning.
That's really powerful, because most people go the opposite way. They only form the team once they run out of other options.
Yeah, and they've been kicked 1, 2, 3 times. And I have had grown-ups bursting into tears with me. I had this guy, 45 years old, in Canada. When I showed him the little stupid drawing, he burst into tears to say, I've been bankrupt 3 times. And I always thought that the reason was that I was stupid with the numbers. And the more I tried to keep control of the numbers, the worse it came. And now you telling me that I should have never done it? I should have never tried to learn to keep control of my finances. And I said, what is your love? And he told me what his love was. I said, why didn't you do that 10 hours a day? Yeah. And why didn't you look around you, your brother, your wife? Why didn't you look for somebody that loves? I want the people who say, but that's easy. It's easy for you.
Yeah.
I want the people to say, but it's easy to do the accounts. I love it. You reconcile it. It's so nice. It's so clear. It's so simple. And you said, for God's sake, please come, do it. So what I teach is this: always stay in your area. Your only competitive advantage is your magnificence in your area of passion and skill. The moment you leave your area of passion and skill to try to manage the other fields, you become an amateur. You become a rank amateur.
You become Sisyphus, constantly pushing that boulder up the hill. And
you become an amateur. And you know what happens to amateurs? The most tragic thing is this. You are an entrepreneur in an incubator in Perth, and you come in lying through your teeth with your pitching deck memorized, and you try to impress everybody about the quality of your product, how smart you are selling it, and how good you are with finances. And there is one person in the room who is a true marketing guy, and there is one person in the room who is a true financial controller. And they look at you and you say two words and they know that you know nothing about marketing. And they know that you know nothing about finance because your area of expertise was product. So until you talk product, they respect you. The moment you say two words about the marketing strategy for your company, you're done. You lost them because they say, who is this clown? So never, ever even talk about stuff that is not in your area. I hate pitching. To me, pitching has been the bane of the millennial entrepreneurs because they teach you to lie. How can you talk about something that you hate? How can you talk with passion about something that you hate? The most ridiculous, embarrassing, infuriating television show is the Shark Tank and the Dragon's Den for me. The Shark, how you call it? They call it
Shark
the Shark
Tank. Yeah.
Tank
And
the Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
Dragon's Den.
And I think that the people is good television. Yeah. It's like Big Brother. You want people to make fool of themselves. So what they do, they make fools of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to have a television show that is called, the Shark Killers, the Dragon Slayers, where I want to take the rejects of the Shark Tank. I want to teach them how to set up a company properly. I want to take them to the market, not to the same bankers, but to the real people with the real money. And then I want to bring them back and compare 5 of my people with 5 of their successors and see who is more successful. People who have learned to do a proper bankable business plan, form a team, do a bankable business plan, go into the market to get letters of intent to purchase or orders inside the bankable plan. The way I teach people is that the product person writes the product part of the plan. The marketing person hits the ground and goes for 6 months to get letters of intent to purchase on letterhead or orders. Say, if we were to make this, would you use it? if we were to make this, you Bunnings, would you use this software package to deal with all your? Would you put it in writing? And then what you do, you have product written by the product person, marketing with all the letters of intent to purchase. Then you have the financials, which are real financials. And that the way I prepare my companies, I get this business plan to be audited independently. And then I teach the 3 people to go and do the presentation to the VCs. I send the team to present, and I teach the team, you only answer the questions of your pertinence. So there is no charismatic leader that try to talk intelligently about finance with bankers. Are you crazy? You're going to mess up with bankers? I'm taking a financial controller that comes from Westpac and is part of my team, who will look at the banker and say, well, I have 30 years more than you, my friend, and I know what I'm talking about. So no, it's I hate pitching. I think that the incubators, the genius labs, all the accelerators, they're not doing the right job, because until you teach pitching, pitching is like a beauty context where everybody had plastic surgery. So you tell me how you find the real beauty among people who all have been coached, they have all memorized what to say. So now bankers have in front of this person, and now the game for the bankers is to find out who you really are, because the moment they realize that the only thing you really are is the product, you love the product, is your area of passion and expertise, you know what the banks are going to do to you? They are never going to ask a question in the product, and they are going to crucify you asking a question about marketing and finance. So if you look at Shark Tank, you find out that the bankers, as soon as they really find out who you are, they will never ask you another question about your area of expertise.
Yeah.
Because the game of the bankers is to invest penny for the dollar. So what they're going to do, they're going to demonstrate that you're an idiot. And then they're going to throw a few coins your way to say, oh, come with us. And we will invest, not because we believe that you're competent, but we are going to invest so that we can put our expertise and our network inside your company, and we're going to take you over.
That's a very common situation that happens everywhere, but especially in Silicon Valley, which you mentioned.
Startup culture always has that. The charismatic leader is a good trope. That's always common.
One thing that I would like you to publicize is that there was a competition, a pitching competition in the food industry in Chicago last October. And the story is that one of the company that won the pitching competition, they had hired an actress to play.
Wow.
Because now she was a woman entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And she faked the passion. She memorized the pitch, and she won the competition, and she had nothing to do with the company.
Amazing.
And this is what the accelerators and the incubators who do pitching competition deserve. They deserve for actors to come and absolutely blow them out of the, because they come and they're perfect. They have passion, the right look, and they become like Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos infamy, that con invested $800 million in Silicon Valley with a product that she had never allowed anybody to see.
It's amazing.
And
amazing.
She was the pitching genius, and she basically con $800 million out of people.
Wow.
Yeah, never should have happened. Isn't it crazy how there are people?
The
WeWork CEO is another perfect example. Someone who can
the WeWork guy,
people out of money.
And of course, what was the name of the famous island party.
Fire Fest.
Fire
Festival.
Festival, Fire Island, something.
Yeah.
Where the guys sold all these tickets on this island paradise, this week of,
That's right.
you know, and everybody, they bought these tickets, and then he had nothing. There was no product. It was only, you know, it was an idea. He says, let's see what happens.
Yeah,
and people bought it.
He was great at marketing. I mean, the marketing videos they made, you know, the hype they built up, amazing.
I teach this when I do my my class on the TOM. We do a little short class, and what I give real examples of what happens when one of the three is in charge, and how the product in charge goes bust, how the marketing in charge goes bust, and how the finance guy in charge of a company goes bust, because, you know, cut all the costs and then destroy the soul of the company because the founder is Steve Jobs, so you get rid of Steve Jobs, and then you have no Apple without Steve Jobs, and you discover that you have nothing.
They bring in a finance guy.
And the finance guy, you know, all the rough, you know, CEO who comes from, you know, the crazy MBA people who consider themselves the masters of the universe, you know, the Wall Street characters. Greed is good, and you know, take no prisoners. And they also use the language of war, which is so empowering for millennials. They go to classes and they shake their hands and say, my God, these guys are talking about business as business was this win, lose, black and white.
Zero-sum game.
Absolutely zero-sum game. All the language is male. The language is the language of war. It's a predatory practices. It's like these people come out of a bad, B-grade, you know, horror movie, you know, these guys. And then they use their position for sex and for power and for God. Yeah.
I think the culture is definitely changing, and we're finally shedding that Gordon Gekko 80s style business.
Yeah. I believe that the millennials are they knew, you know, my TEDx that I gave in Perth, I talked about the millennials as the new Victorians, because the Victorians invented everything. Like at one stage, the Times of London had a headline to say, we have invented everything, there is nothing that we can invent. Because basically those guys were so magnificent. So the Victorian period is a period of incredible creativity. What we have, we still owe them the radio, the television. The television concept was invented with a consequence of inventions that are 1900. So that historical period was absolutely extraordinary. And now I believe that the millennials can be come up with the stuff that will move humanity for the next 200 years. But I thought that it only would be in technology, but now I come to realize that maybe some of the greatest advances would be in the social sciences.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And the application of technology to that as well.
Yeah.
Imagine if technology were used to advance environmental, social, diversity issues. Imagine if the millennials were that ethical generation that would rectify and put some limits to the brutality of greed is good and unbridled capitalism. The idiocy of a communist regime has gone, and now we only have capitalism to look at. And capitalism has no escape, because before capitalists could say, you don't like us, look at the communists.
That's right.
You know, we are better than them. But now we can say, no, you are not better than them, because you're destroying the market as well, and the rich are becoming richer, the poor are becoming poorer, and you are putting at risk humanity, destroying the market.
The pigs have taken over the
if you're
farm.
competing with Amazon, if nobody will be able to set up a shop in the world, and Amazon will be able to reinvest all the profits and never pay taxes, never contribute to privatizing the profits and socializing the costs. The moment that Amazon will feel that they have absolutely no responsibility to improve the roads, but they want to be paid to drive on the roads, deliver the parcels, I think that Amazon should pay the cost of part of the cost of paving the roads to allow its trucks to deliver, because we are paying for the roads, not Amazon. Amazon is taking the profit. So they are socializing the costs and privatizing the profits.
Yeah.
The moment that if the system is left unchecked, Amazon will become the only company in the world in terms of retail. So if there is no understanding that the death of the marketplace has a huge cost, then nobody will do what the Americans did when they invented the antitrust laws. They were the Americans that said, this company is too big, we have to break them down. So there will be a point where somebody will have to say, no, every country will have to be in a position where they can create some competition, and the competition is important for the survival of the economy. At the moment you have 3 people controlling the economy of the world, then what's going to happen? Bye capitalism. They're going to destroy themselves. You see what I mean?
Yeah. It's feudalism by that stage.
Yeah, feudalism, and in a new middle age, where you are going to have millions of people. It will be, what was the movie where the people on Earth were all, in a terrible mess, and there was this satellite with where the rich people live. You remember that?
Elysium.
Elysium.
One of them.
Yeah.
So, and I can tell you that the dream of Republicans, the neoconservative here, it is to create a place in the world. They're talking about floating islands where there is Ayn Rand, the idea of the rich people living together in communities, and which to me makes me smile, because they still want to live in a community, but in a community of rich people, there is always the person who is richer. So they will never be able to enjoy a community, because if the value is how much money do you have, you will never have a community. You will always have a feudal. You will have the king, the lord, the baron, the marquis, the baronet, whatever. You will have categories. So I think that it will be their utopia, which is a society of rich people who are completely independent and they don't pay taxes, actually will never be able to exist. It can only exist through brute force, through corruption, like now. Now is paradise for the super rich, because they don't pay taxes, and they are allowed to create a foundation where they control their own money. So then, yes, I will spend money, but I'm spending money the way I want. And by doing that, I get, and that's why this is a very important book, because Winner Takes All says, sorry, but you are not going to have our respect, because the real respect will be, why don't you pay taxes instead of giving money, giving alms to the poor? Why don't you instead pay taxes to be a normal citizen? And nobody's asking this question of, of Bill Gates, and they believe that it's normal behavior that you don't pay taxes because your taxes are in your own personal foundation, and then you play God in Africa. And then you playing God in Africa is incredibly, you create a situation where you infantilize the African people. They stay children forever, waiting for somebody to come to give them money, somebody to come to save them. And the president of Ghana had recently a beautiful speech in front of Macron. And I would like you guys to find the speech and to put it in your,
we can drop it in right here.
And the speech is, dear Macron, we don't want your help. We don't want your charity, we don't want your international aid.
Well,
because if we take the international aid, we admit that we are inferior to you, and we admit that we cannot do it without you.
It's very rare that aid comes without caveats, compromises, strings attached. It's not a gift.
It's never a gift, and in fact, is in my, shut up and listen. The story of the hippos in Africa is. I've been telling that we mostly is people coming from hegemonic countries. Hegemonic countries are countries that believe that they're better than anybody else. And that we, coming from those kind of countries, are beyond arrogance. In other words, we are so arrogant that we don't even understand that we are arrogant. We are meta-arrogance. We believe that everywhere we go, people should kiss our feet. And we don't understand how come people don't fall on their knees when we arrive. And this is what, what Australians do in Aboriginal communities,
Yeah.
What do you mean? We are so kind and generous. We come to help you. And, you come uninvited to tell us what to do. And you, when I was in Australia, one of the things that was so obvious to me, especially coming back then, traveling back from New Zealand, was that in Australia, I never met a white Australian who could say yes or no in any of the Aboriginal languages. Not even a word, not even thank you. I have never had anybody teaching me how to say yes, no, or thank you, or goodbye in any of the Aboriginal languages. And there are 180 languages in Australia. But in New Zealand, I saw white people speaking Maori because they learn at the school. So you cannot talk about racism only in Africa or when the white people arrive. Bill Gates is outraged that still, people don't do what he tells them to do with mosquito nets. It will be so simple, like, why don't you do what I'm telling you to do? It's like people arriving in Italy. I give the best example that I can think of, try not to offend the American philanthropists, but I said, imagine that you are an American woman who comes to my village in Italy and try to convince my 90-year-old Italian mother to cook spaghetti in a microwave oven. If you use a microwave oven, you will save time and energy.
Yeah.
My mother answer would have said, but the only way to be appreciated is by making spaghetti by hand, fettuccine by hand, and I'm famous for my slow cooked sauces.
Yeah.
So the fact that I spend 5 hours for one dish, that's my reputation, and it's the only way to be admired as a woman. So now you're coming and you're telling me that I should use a microwave oven. Where is going to be my glory? Where is going to go? So every time you arrive in Africa with the technology, you have to ask yourself, who am I going to displace culturally? And would people prefer to do this instead of being appreciated, admired in the community. So we are, when I talk about a cultural hegemony, is because what we are doing, we are so insensitive and so arrogant that we don't even understand what we are doing. We are not even understanding that we are offending people. And I have to constantly remind people, say, imagine somebody in the street. You are going with your wife and your children to have an ice cream in Cottesloe. And there is this very elegant couple. And the elegant couple, the wife, looks at your daughter and she gives $1 to your daughter. Your daughter.
Yes.
And you say, wait a minute, what are you doing? Why are you giving a daughter to I'm going to Cottesloe with my wife and my kids for dinner. And you are giving my daughter $1 in her hand in the streets. Are you nuts? This is what we do. We all white bastards do everywhere. Mm-hmm. We cannot help ourselves. We go to bloody Phuket and we give money to the kids in the streets in Malaysia. And we think that there is nothing wrong doing that. Actually, it makes us feel good. Well, you have just offended somebody. Okay? And they play the game with you. They see tourists arriving to say, another Australian, let's go and see what these guys are going to give us.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But, it's like we are beyond ignorant, beyond arrogance. When it comes to us and them, us and the other race, us and the alien, we are absolute beyond, in our way of dealing with people. We really believe that we are the gift to humanity, and we have better culture, better civilization. We even have a better God. We're going to give it to you whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
And it's beyond the pale. And I really think that you, the millennial generation, you come from universities where you have 20, 30 races in your classroom. The universities are hotbeds of multiculturalism. I absolutely adore to see the composition of students in the classroom. Even in this conversation, look at the three faces in this conversation, completely different cultures. And I love it. I think this is the social globalization that is different from economic globalization. This is social globalization that I advocate. We should create communities of intent where people of like mind, they want to talk to each other, they want to work together, they want to form teams. That's what we should be doing, more of this.
That's perfect. I completely agree. And we won't take up any more of your time.
It was lovely talking to you guys.
Yeah, really, really good talking to you.
Thank you for indulging me. This is
great to hear.
Yeah. We are totally on the same page. And
fantastic.
I thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Bye-bye. Say hello to Pearl for me. And bye. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Ernesto.
Thanks, Ernesto.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You have made it to the end of another episode of Tech Society.
We hope you liked it.
We really enjoyed talking to Ernesto, and he really wowed us with the depth of knowledge on a lot of topics.
And strong opinions.
Very strong opinions.
But backed by, good facts, logic, and it's actually quite interesting.
Experience.
Yeah, exactly. We hope you enjoyed it as much as you did part one. And hopefully we'll hear more from him again.
Hopefully you feel empowered to change the world.
make the world a better place. Fight for the community.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Make sure you head over to the website and sign up to our newsletter. Tweet us at Tech Society. And as always, this episode was sponsored by Ninja Software.
We think big and we move quietly.
We are Ninja Software.
NJS.dev. Bye.
See ya.